My people, una sabi say when I talk, then go say na that man too talk too much. But the point to be say people they still also blind, and we just sit down, we know they say anything. America we supposed to they promote democracy, but when it reach for Africa, all then they promote now waiting America go take come out from Africa. Even if the person where they give them to America, now the biggest thief way they for Africa, America go support them. Even if the person still an election, America and France and Britain, we tell us say the best thing for leadership na democracy. All of a sudden when it reach Africa, America no believe for democracy again. America just believe for person where them fit carry money, stuff inside them pocket, make it carry the country, sell to them. They no care. But Africans, not be you now supposed to fight for ourselves. We need to stop today talk about waiting America do us and waiting France do us. So what about waiting we do our own self for? Not be us supposed to put good people for office. If Tinubu still office, sit down there, we did a look, we no revolt, we no rebel. Now America we go blame until we find our own good people put for office, we go fight for us. Africa, sorry. Hello everybody. Once again, this is Fred Wankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And as usual, I like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world. If you notice, there's a little twist to our introduction. The reason is that we're getting serious now, and we have to abide strictly by YouTube copyright rules. If you notice, I used to use songs that blend into my theme for the episode. Well, the last episode we did, believe it or not, went viral. Over 25,000 views. And at that point, my producer, who is my grandson, decided that it's time to get this thing done right. As we speak, we are working on our own customized Bold Talk introductory music. We've hired somebody who is going to do that. But with that said, we have a potpourri of things to talk about today, and it all relates to the exploitation of Africa by the US, France, the European Union, and to some extent, China, Russia, and the rest of the people who exploit in Africa. And that brings me to a very important topic. America and the European Union especially, and to some extent France, are always concerned about what Africa does with China and Russia and India or whoever else Africa wants to work with. Seriously, what business of America and the European Union and France is it if Africans decide that they are getting a better deal from, be it Russia or China or whoever gives them a better deal, even North Korea? Seriously, I'm not a fan of Russia and how they do things. I'm not a fan of China and how they treat Africans. I'm not a fan of North Korea and their dictatorship. No, I'm not saying Africa should go with those people. But I'm saying who the hell is America and all their other European puppets? Who are they to tell us who to work with and who not to work with? I want you to take a quick listen to South Africa's Julius Malema, or Maleme, pardon me, but you know who I'm talking about. I want you to listen to his perspective answering this question you're
They
going
don't have borders in Europe. But when it comes to us, they say, no, you must have borders. Why? The division of of Africa is what makes them thrive. They thrive on the division of the African continent. Can you imagine the minerals of DRC combined with the minerals of South Africa and with a new currency based on the minerals? What we can do to the dollar if we become a United States of Africa with our minerals alone? We can collapse the dollar. We can collapse the strong pound that is based on gold, yet they don't have a gold mine. So why do you allow such things? There were no borders, and we must all of us unite in that call.
Yeah.
Free movements of persons, free movements of goods.
Yes, guys. Free movement of persons, free movement of goods. This is what it is in Europe. In the European Union, people just move across and do business. It's incumbent on the different countries, just like in the European Union, to have their police, have security and everything, and the bigger countries within the continent help the others to support their police and their security, and people could move around. It's good for Africa. But covertly, the colonial masters don't like that. But let's leave the colonial masters alone. Let's focus on Africans. Africans know these things. They talk about these things. I've been in settings where it's the topic of discussion, but nobody comes forth to do what it takes, non-violent revolution that it will take to, first of all, get rid of our leaders, regardless of how powerful they are and how much money they have. When we kick them out, then we could focus on supporting the new leaders that we elect, who are going to now talk in the interest of Africa. It's not about what America and France and the European Union and Russia and China and any of them is doing to us. That's irrelevant. That's the nature of running a country. And also, let's stop talking about, wow, be careful, they're going to kill you. I'm 65 years old. Even if I'm 45 years old, even if I'm 40, is the future not worth fighting for our children and grandchildren so they could live in a better continent than we lived? Just some food for thought. Let's get back to what Malema is talking about in the video at the introductory stage. I personally oppose all military action. I oppose military coups in Africa. But one cannot, on a blanket basis, oppose what the military coups are doing in Africa without talking about what America and France are doing in the West African corridor of Africa. The mess that you see in lately Niger and previously Burkina Faso, Mali and Chad and Guinea, it's not unrelated to what the United States and France has been doing in West Africa and getting away with it. It's just that they didn't take into account that Africans are tired of the exploitation and things are changing, and the younger generation are not your grandpa's younger generation. This is a new breed of younger generation. You have to know that the people who did the coup in Niger were trained by American soldiers, probably in conjunction with French soldiers. just like the people who did the coup in Burkina Faso are descendants who admired the assassinated head of state Sankara in 1987. Those young people grew up reading the history of what happened to Sankara, and it's been building in them. But more importantly, they've been watching to see that nothing changed since Sankara was assassinated, that their people are still going through the same oppression in the hands of France that they were going through, that led Sankara to do the coup that took over the person who was before him. The same thing in Mali. The soldiers you're training to protect your interests, not Mali, I'm sorry, Niger. The soldiers you're training to protect your interest and protect your $500 billion military installment that you built in Niger, that's what the United States spent to build their military base with drone equipped and everything. The people you're training to protect that are wondering, what the hell are you doing in Niger? What business do you have building these bases in Niger? America has to be careful. Empires rise and fall. We read in history about the Greek Empire. We read about the Egyptian Empire. We read about the Roman Empire. Where are all those people today? America needs to be very careful and get into the diplomatic gear of honest give and take with Africans, because if a revolution happens, the consequence is not going to be good for the world. America wants to pick and choose which dictatorship they're going to support. America is opposing the military installation in Niger, but America supported the military coup in Sudan that took over the government in Sudan. So what's up with that? Guys, don't get me wrong. I live in the United States. The United States remains the best country in the world. Quote unquote, the best democracy in the world. The United States has been good to me and has been good to a lot of African immigrants. But it doesn't take away the atrocities that policies of the United States is causing in Africa in general, but in this case we're talking about the sub-Saharan Africa. And what's Bola Ahmed Tinubu mobilizing the ECOWAS army to go into Niger for? Why would the United States be working with an illegitimate government in Nigeria instead of negotiating with that illegitimate government to at least have rerun elections, if not outright get the hell out of there because they don't belong there? The United States is working with the Bola Ahmed Tinubu government in Nigeria, regardless of the fact that the United States knows that this government is illegitimate, because they can use this government as a puppet government to carry out anything the United States and France wants to carry out in West Africa. After all, Nigeria is the biggest army there, and Nigeria is the biggest economy there. This is wrong. It needs to stop. But it shouldn't be me talking. My platform is not big enough yet. And on that note, I appeal to you guys to share my videos, like my videos, and subscribe to my videos. But my platform is only beginning. It's not big enough yet. Every one of you watching should be talking about exactly what I'm talking about. I'm mobilizing people in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Liberia, everywhere in West Africa to stand up. You can't keep thinking about dying without thinking about the future of our children. It's time to stand up to the bullies of France and the United States in West Africa. Folks, never mind that I'm raising my voice. Listen to the message and not the messenger. Just listen to my message. What is the conservative flank of the Biden administration doing in Africa during this crisis? The Biden administration has an expert on Africa in the name of Johnny Carson. Why is Johnny Carson, who is a more open-minded person, why is Johnny Carson not negotiating with Niger and Nigeria on these matters concerning the coup in Niger? Why is Victoria Nuland in Niger negotiating for the military junta to leave? She didn't succeed. She left with her tail between her legs. And why did she go from Niger to Nigeria? What's Victoria Nuland doing in Nigeria? Talking to the Tinubu administration. Then she leaves Nigeria for South Africa. What's she doing in South Africa? Guys, so what is Nuland doing in South Africa? Here's what she's doing in South Africa. The BRICS countries, India, China, Russia, Brazil, in conjunction with South Africa and maybe some other African countries, are meeting in South Africa to discuss the possibility of coming up with a unified currency, just like European Union has their unified currency, and the states in America have their unified dollar, and Canada even has dollar. They are meeting to discuss the possibility of coming up with a unified currency that's going to be used in the entire African continent, which is exactly what Malema was referring to, where he said that when that happens, it would crash the dollar. I'm not for crashing the dollar. I'm for give and take. I'm not for crashing anybody, but I'm for doing whatever it takes to create independence for the African countries to be able to dig themselves out of this rut. What Nuland went to South Africa to do was to dissuade any African countries that are thinking about that. And the next thing they are going to come up with is to start bribing those presidents and stuffing their pockets, and then planning Sudan-type pro-France, pro-America coups that they are going to support. And then the next thing is planning assassination of the presidents that are gung-ho about getting that currency that works for Africa. That's how America operates, through their CIA, and that's how France operates. And like I said, this new generation of Africans is now your grandpa's generation of Africans. This new generation of Africans are ready. And it's time for America and France to take a step back and re-strategize and get into a negotiating diplomatic mode, or this world is going to explode. Yes, I didn't say that accidentally. I mean it. Or this world is going to explode. It will explode when you see a competition and a rush for Africa militarily between the United States and NATO and Russia and whoever Russia is back to it. And don't be surprised if India and China join Russia in that fight. Listen to this retired American colonel, not a general. Listen to his thoughts on what I just said.
Do you foresee even a possibility of something unraveling there, like widespread fighting and war taking place between Western and Russian-backed powers in West Africa?
Well, most of Africa, tragically, is not a great place to live. It's very sad. And when they first created this thing called Africa Command, I was still on active duty. And I had the misfortune to open my big mouth in a room full of generals and others and say, what the hell are we calling this place Africa Com for? Africa Command? Are you crazy? If you were an African, what would you think about the United States if it created a military organization called Africa Command? I said, I'd be offended. So whatever you do, don't call it Africa Command. Well, and I was not invited back to any more of those meetings. Look, Africa is a difficult place. The French portions that you're talking about in Northwest Africa have been called Afrique du Nord. This is a famous area that the French have dominated in imperial times, and they've dominated it since then, certainly in many ways, linguistically and culturally. The problem is that the Africans resent it. They've never felt as though they were given a square deal when it came to independence from France, because the French stipulated in all of the agreements, certain French interests had to be protected and receive special treatment. And the French army is renowned for going wherever French interests are at stake, business interests, and the Africans are fed up with it. And so this is an example in Niger where a supposedly U.S.-backed government with a U.S.-trained military suddenly turned around and said, I think all of you white people need to get out of here. We've had it with you. Go away. Go. Europeans leave. The Russians, haven't done business that way. The Russians, in fact, Putin recently forgave $23 billion of debt owed to Russia by many of these countries in sub-Saharan and some of Saharan Africa. I mean, it was never going to be paid back. You had a much better shot of profiting if you just forgave it, turned back the clock to zero and started over, which is what he's done. We would benefit from doing similar things in many parts of the world. In fact, we would benefit enormously if we simply admitted that we can't go on with the enormous sovereign debt that hangs over our heads, but nobody will do that. The point is, I think it had less to do with the Russians or the Chinese and simply to do with the anger and frustration that built up for a long time towards colonialism. And the Africans said enough. We should say, fine, good luck. And then we ought to question what we're doing in all of these places with military power. If you want to go into these places, by all means, look for business, compete on the business level, but get out of this militarized foreign policy. It's a loser.
Compete on an economic level, on equal terms. Get out of this military crap. It's a loser. Fred Nwankwo did not say it. I didn't say it. An American, a retired American colonel, said that. Folks, things are changing. Africa is changing. It's going to take a little more time. We just pray that the world doesn't explode before it changes. But I can guarantee you one thing. The world will explode before this new generation of Africans sit back and take this rubbish from the countries of students they sat in class with in Europe, in America, in Russia, in China, and everywhere, and competed very favorably, if not beat them in class. This new generation of Africans are not going to take this, and I hope they don't take it. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. Until next time, good night and God bless. My people, I just say make a thank you. I beg if you like waiting we just do, make una share and make una help me grow, make una like and make una subscribe. And all these people where una they see where they show now, now them be the people where be say they do waiting they do. Chica Market, now the place where with the people where they around Chicago, suburbs and everywhere, they go buy waiting then they chop, waiting then they put for mouth. Nothing where you go for Chica Market where you no go find. Whether na food where they specialty to Niger or anything, if you go there, then go get them. But more importantly, the atmosphere, they very beautiful. Then the lawyer where they support me here, name now, Paul Otubushi, 33 years in business. You know if you play with that one now. Nothing with no kind case where you get, and no be only the man a cerebral, educated, PhD kind of lawyer. He just retired from where they teach, because before a college professor too. Then Chimako shipping, waiting one ship where they no fee help you. If you go Chimako, nothing you go try where they no fee help. Direct home health care, then get nurses where then they send out to go take care of patients. Then get another business where then they hire nurses. So anyone where you do, if you go direct, then go help you. Then Bright Star Care Diagnostic Specialist Hospital, where they forward. Make you go there. If you get people for Niger where you they support, if they're no sick, just send them go there. Make arrangements with the owners. You go pay them from here. China shipping again, we come to Sona shipping and logistics. They won't be say no be only say that they ship. Now then get the ship where then they carry go. So when they give you date saying now we go you sabi say now then they control the ship. This one no be to take them, go give ship where you na Sona go take them, na Sona go ship them, na Sona go deliver them for you. I beg I say make a thank you now. Make una no forget to subscribe. The only way where your brother fit grow. Now say una they watch waiting and send, subscribe, share them, and like them. And the thing be say, if you not like waiting and they do not be say give una voice, because na me go they talk. And I know they talk while you and Pasha. Now it happen and they talk them. The only people where say they no like me. Now the ones where they do while you, where will they talk about them while you? I beg make una thank you. Thank you very much, and make una thank the people where they help me advertise.